taxes ought to be good for the worker bees. All makes sense. Congressman, thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Neil.
Well, now to the woman who says she knows what the president is really up to. This mandate deal really isn't about helping employers. Betsy McCoy says it's about saving those precious exchanges. Betsy, what do you mean?
That's right. This was a ploy to drive healthy, younger people who are working, into the health insurance exchanges, and that's exactly what it does. This isn't a victimless crime, by the way. Of course, it tramples the Constitution, but in addition, it impacts 10 million workers and their dependents. 10 million workers who are currently working full-time, they're uninsured or inadequately insured, and come January 1st, their employers would be subject to the mandate. So they would have gotten health insurance.
Right.
But now they're between a rock and a hard place. They're going to have to pay the $95 per person first-year penalty for being uninsured, or they're going to have to go to the insurance exchange, and that's exactly what was intended. Kathleen Sebelius, Secretary of Health and Human Services, tried to get the NBA, the NFL, other sports groups to lure young, healthy, working-age people to go into the exchanges. And when they refused to shill for the health insurance exchanges, they postponed the employer mandate, giving these 10 million workers virtually no choice except to sign up.
But it sounds to me like the exchanges are nowhere near being able to be up and running, and this was an acknowledgement of that with delaying the corporate mandate.
That may be.
But where is it going? Where do you think this is going?
In addition, let me point out that the taxpayers are victims. Delaying the employer mandate for 1 year is going to cost $60 billion. $60 billion. It's the $10 billion in foregone employer penalties. But in addition, every person who signs up for that subsidized exchange coverage, it's, according to the CBO, Congressional Budget Office, it will cost $4,820. So even if only half of those 10 million workers and their dependents sign up, you've got a bill of over $48 billion right there.
Wow.
Add that $10 billion on. Do you realize, Neil, that's more than the entire cost of major federal programs like the Medicare Part D drug benefit? And yet the president, with a snap of his fingers, decides to tweak a law and not enforce part of it. Clearly a blow to the U.S. Constitution and taxpayers.
I don't think, and I'm no lawyer, but I don't think this thing is going away. Now, they might try to choke the funding of it. They might try to delay provisions. The Republicans might go back and forth on ways to sort of force the president's hand. But it's such a monster, and I think it's going to be hard to unravel. And I know, as you know this law better than I do, there are provisions in there where if the cash isn't coming from these younger workers or these low-wage workers who are apparently finding it's too expensive to sign up, and, you know, the very uninsured who we upended our entire healthcare system to make sure they signed up aren't signing up, there are ways they can sneak taxes in there, Medicare surtaxes that are already high, on top of that, and there are those provisions in there that will allow them to find other ways to raise money for this that we might not like.
That's right. Clearly, with this move, no one could argue that this law is paid for. This is a real budget buster.
Okay, well, that wouldn't be the first time that's happened.
That's true. But in addition, this is not the first time either that the president has simply ignored the written law defying the Constitution and picking and choosing which parts of a law he will enforce. And I should think that members of the House of Representatives would call him to task for failing to observe his oath to uphold the Constitution.
Betsy, always good having you. You've been all over this long before anyone. Betsy McCoy, she read this thing and actually memorized it. It's like Rain Man. She just
Section 1513. He's got to enforce that employer mandate.
Don't even get me going on 1513, Betsy. I'll be here all day. What the hell is she talking? Anyway, from a health care law that is gasping to a widening NSA scandal.